Hello, Ariel. How are you?
Yeah. I'm great to be here with you. Just like very happy to be here. Thank you
Thank you.
for this meeting.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. For you, everyone watching, we know ourselves with we know each other with Ariel for some time. We recently met. I think it was during the Atlassian Team 25, right?
Yeah, in a
Uh,
party.
In a party, exactly, yes. And Ariel is a very experienced Atlassian consultant that recently switched to work for Zooplus, right?
Yeah,
Ariel is also a Jira influencer and a community leader in Madrid, right?
yeah. Community leader in Madrid and also the leader of Atlassian Expert in Spanish, which is in the other side of the moon because we are not official, but we have both. We have a great relationship in between the two communities, so really great.
So be aware because Ariel is going to post much more content soon, I
I'm
hope,
on
right?
track. I'm on track. Yeah.
What's going to be
Uh,
unique about it? It's you plan to post it in Spanish, right?
yeah, we did. Well, I'm start to doing this in Spanish because I know that the best information is in English, but not everyone has this skill. Maybe today with the AI is easier, but when I started with all the Atlassian community and so on, I want that time and now too, I want to like get back to the ecosystem, what the ecosystem give it to me, because I made my whole career around this. The people in this ecosystem is awesome, and I'm very comfortable here, and there is room for everyone that want to shine with us and
Absolutely.
well, play around with Jira stuff. Yeah.
We have a lot of channels like community, like Atlassian user group meetings, but I still think that when it comes to the amount of people sharing knowledge, like on YouTube, on other channels, it's still not enough, right? Especially with
Yeah.
different languages, we need more people that would be happily sharing their best practices rather than just like the regular stories on the community.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
um, so I wanted to ask you, like, since like you're attending the Atlassian user group meetings, what are the most buzzing topics right now happening on those meetings?
Well, right now, from the technical side, if you want, we have all the Atlassian intelligence and Robo, deeper in Robo,
Okay.
and on the more like framework thing, we have the system of work. So we have both topics hot in this ecosystem because, regarding the system of work is something that I believe that maybe we need it in Atlassian, the way of work with Atlassian tools. Well, of course, with external tools, but I mean with all the ecosystem of tools that this platform has. Um, and also, it's no, it's really a great place to play around about these new technologies. Regarding all the robo, is I believe the one of the topics that I was waiting most of all because I always say that in Confluence always was enigma the search, and with robo you find the things, you reach your goals when you start
Finally,
to look information. So I believe that this the feature that we need the most, this
okay.
ecosystem.
I hope it works the same way for the Jira Service Management. I always struggle
Yes.
with the search.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but I believe it will.
How about the naming changes, the recent name changes, like from
Well,
issues to work items, project to spaces? What do you think about that?
well, I believe that when I'm finally found the way of describe to the user, to new joiners to this ecosystem, new companies that start to work with Jira. When I found the way to explain what is an issue, now they change to the proper name. It will be easier for all of us to say that where I think it's a piece of work, a task, and so on, that's an issue. I know from the history of all Jira why we call it issue, but it was really, really hard to explain. Most of all in English for myself, not only because it's not my native language, it's because it's difficult to say that ticket is an issue. And right now, with the name Work Item, I'm very happy. Regarding the projects, yeah, it's always a project. Always was a workplace for the teams. From my side, it was not a project because when I start my career in all process management and so on, I remember that we used to describe task, task like, well, you have this ticket, you have these tasks, but with the Work Item was really clear. And regarding the projects, I remember that you have a framework in a project where you have the start, the budget, I know the resource pool, the capacity, and so on. And when I start with all the Atlassian tools, precisely with Jira, I remember that it was so hard to explain that to the people that project doesn't have all that features in Jira. And I remember that I explained that it was a place where all the team works together. It was a workplace. So maybe a workplace would be better from my point of view, but space is good, but
equally good.
Going to happen the same, the same issue that happened with a lot of Atlassian tools. You have two, or how can I say? You have the same name for two different features. I remember organization in cloud. Now you have the organization of cloud, and also we have organization inside Jira Service Management, and are two different things. And with this, I believe, are going to happen the same, because when we think in space, we think in Confluence. And right now, I believe it will be maybe a miss. I don't know, but that's my first thought about all these changes.
Okay.
I don't know what you think about it, but that's mine.
From our perspective, it was also always challenging to write the documentation, the blog posts, or to simply explain to people why almost the same stuff, let's call it an issue, a work item, a task, is called differently in different systems, right? Especially when you try to integrate two different systems, you say that actually it's like a work item on one side and an issue on the other side. So what's the difference? It's just the naming, because actually it's a title, it's a description, it's some additional fields, a status, attachments, and comments, but it's just named differently, right? So it would be maybe easier to have it like aligned. So especially when you try to integrate the different platforms, you know that you like integrate the similar things, right? They don't have to have it like totally different names, right? So from our perspective, I believe it's a step into a good direction, and hopefully nobody will have any issues with that, right?
No, if they have we are here to help.
Absolutely, yes. So you have a lot of experience working as a consultant, and now you're working in-house. From your perspective, like day-to-day work, how is it different?
Well, the main difference is that I'm not running hours. I mean, of course, time is important, but when you work as a consultant, you have this variable with the time that when you work as an engineer in a final customer, maybe you have more time. I believe it's that the core difference, because I hear that sometimes when you are a consultant, you do not deliver it the same quality that when you are from the customer. But I'm not agree with that, because I made my whole career delivery quality, because I like do the things properly. But I remember that I suffer a lot with the time when you have to log work and when you are running out of time to do something. And I remember that I worked more hours to deliver better quality in my outcomes, more than the ones that we forecast for the project. But for me, it's because my delivery is my presentation card, and I cannot sleep quiet if I left something with something to fix or not work. So my main difference is that, and the other thing that I thought that could happen, but not happen to me in my company Zooplus, that it was that I thought that it would be boring. And it's not, because I have the luck that right now, currently, I'm working in this company that is Jira driven. And when you are a Jira administrator, you love this ecosystem and these tools, you believe in these tools, and you work in a place where everything is Jira related. For me, it's great. I work with my work, with my tickets. When someone asks me for something, send me a ticket, do not send me an email, and it's really comfortable. And all the company works like this. And this company, Zooplus, has a lot of areas that maybe you can find in only one company, because this is an e-commerce, a really big e-commerce. And for example, you have logistic, and the use case are different than the use case of marketing. And the same thing with content and, well, a lot of things. And one of the great things that we have is that, of course, we have another tools, but Jira is in the center of this equation. And, well, we have a lot of integration in between other tools.
I remember working as a consultant and also like in-house, but as a marketing expert. And for me, the difference was always that when you were working as a consultant, exactly like you said, you were working on hours. So you never knew if you underestimated or overestimated. So the plus of this work is that usually you had more than one customer, right? So you could be involved in more context, more projects, so you learned much quicker in a sense, right? Because you had to be everywhere. On the other side, working like in-house for me was also a plus, because you could be much deeper into the business context, right? So instead of just briefly understanding what's happening, you could go very deep and try to understand what's exactly happening with this organization and address this with the proper tools, right? So it's a win here and win there. Right?
Yeah, totally. I love, but I love, and for me, the consultant is really great. I do freelance stuff, of course. For example, trainings or configuration or consultancy. I love both sides, but yeah. And another thing that is really important that I realized staying in-house is that, for example, you have this town hall, and the CEO is saying the objectives or how is the status in the company. And sometimes you would see that some the decisions or objectives you see in the tool or in the request that you get to, okay, now we need to do this, and you can join what the CEO says in the town hall and this initiative. So that give you a deeper understanding. And also another important thing is the reputation in front of your colleagues, because here when you are in-house, you develop something today, and in a year this has to work. And maybe sometimes when you are a consultant, yes, you do the things, but maybe in a year you didn't know what happened with the process and what you did. So that's the main difference. But in this ecosystem with this tool, I'm enjoying both sides.
Okay. So from your perspective, from both worlds, how the integration needs around Jira evolved and the migration needs around Jira evolved?
Well, as I said before, backstage, when I was planning to do this meeting with you, I start to remember my integration and so on. And as I say, I remember that I migrate, of course, from server to cloud, server to data center, cloud to server in some situation that it was when you have this company that splits and one has a project in one environment and want to move to another one. So, and at that time, I'm talking, 5, 6 years ago, we haven't all the tools that we have today. And in fact, we have the migrator assistance, and it was all manually. And it was a challenge in a lot of sense regarding users, regarding attachments. And well, it was really challenging. That's my first approach with the integration. And the most fun integration was in the same company. Yes, 6, 7 years ago, we integrate Jira with Jira Service Management, because the company in that time I worked on, they sell this product in 2 different areas. Jira was in development, and Jira Service Management was in infrastructure. And they have this politic thing, and well, they fight each other. But so for that, they installed both system in different areas. And at the end of all, they say, well, but now they have to see each other. And we were like, but they don't want that. Well, it was a bad sell without experience from the sellers in that time. And well, we have to look a way to do it. And I remember that the challenge in that time was that we have Jira with the script runner, of course, but we have Jira Service Management alone, without anything done inside in that time. So we use the inside console and the inside post function to make this artisanal, and I know, it was challenging, it was a nightmare, but we did it. I don't know if it still works, I believe not. But we did it, and that was really crazy. Then several things regarding automations. I remember when I arrived here to Spain, we have products. Like we have this integration product, we did it with automation. We have this another one with Script Runner. And then, of course, different tools like XLH, Getint, Backbone, Zapier, stuff like that. So, and I'm not. I was thinking that I didn't integrate big systems like with ServiceNow, for example, Jira and ServiceNow. I always work. My work was related with Jira to Jira, Jira to Jira Service Management, and so on. If you ask me, I prefer to use a tool, not to integrate manually.
Hopefully it's
right
much easier right now, right?
Totally.
So from your experience, let's say from the human side of things, we will cover the technicals in a moment. How to prepare for a migration, right? Because as you mentioned, it's not just about the tools, it's also about the scope, it's about the people managing users. So it's usually, from my experience, whenever you think about migrations, they usually have a very tight deadline, right? You can't comfortably migrate in a year. And I believe it also happens now when people migrate to Jira Cloud, right? So how to best prepare for the migration, how to manage the stakeholders, how to properly set up scope?
Well, first of all, you have to be clear in the outcomes. I mean, the people think that these kind of things we can do it, and they are going to have magically everything done. And sometimes you have some corner cases, and it depends. From my point of view, the first step is this integration is like your car, are going to work in the same level of your budget. Okay, what I mean is, if you do not have any budget, okay, you can go to an easy solution, but you are going to have some outcomes that maybe are not the desired outcomes. And the same thing with it. So the first thing is to set expectations to the user. Then you have to have really strong stakeholders, because when you migrate, when you integrate, well, you have the adoption of these two things that, well, have to be handling, and it's not a task only from the Jira guy. I mean, it's the whole thing, and the pro owner of the tool has to help to the adoption. That's my first thought in all this. And regarding the technical thing, an assessment of everything, what has have to happen in one place, what happened in the other place, have all the documentation, all the pre-work done in order to achieve a good solution. That's my and of course the support of this integration too. You have to forecast the support, the go live, and so on.
Mhm.
That's my
So when I'm thinking about the migrations, also like between the Jira systems, let's cover maybe this one first, especially maybe now data center to cloud, right? It's also, since those are not identical systems, right? You're migrating from one system to another, even though it's called Jira, right? So I believe it's a perfect opportunity also to reevaluate your stack, right? You may have a lot of applications that you used on the data center. Now, while making a switch, those are different applications hosted differently, many times very different from the data center editions. And also, since you're already migrating, you can think about, would I like to still use those legacy systems that I had installed 5 years ago? Or maybe I would like to try something better, something fresh, less old. So from your perspective, how would you evaluate the applications? How would you evaluate the vendors to work with, right? So what's the key? If you will now be migrating from data center to cloud, you will see all the applications installed. How would you make a choice if the one that I'm using right now is the right one, or maybe I should make a switch and upgrade?
Well, first of all, I believe that we call it migration, but this is a transformation, because it's the same tool, the same name, but it's not the same. The aim maybe is the same, but it's not the same tool. The scripting is not the same. The tools are not the same. How we evaluate it? Well, first of all, from experience, right now in a 25-year environment, I believe we need to rethink a lot of processes. First of all, what we look is reliability, because most of all in integrations, but because as you know, in fact, the Atlassian migrator has some gaps, and you're looking the wheel doing like this, and maybe are 99% and says no, something happened, and you don't know what happened. So reliability for me is the first thing that we look for. All the experience. Yeah, for example, I remember when I have my interview in my company, in my currently company, they asked me for the tool. I believe that you know which tool it is that you have to resolve with the green button when you have some troubles. And they asked me about that tool, and I say, yeah, I know how to click in the button. Say yes, yeah, that's the key. So what I'm meaning with this is how two different teams from the same topic, Atlassian staff, knows the weaks and the strong things in the tools. And this is from experience. So some of them now are replacing by Atlassian. So you do not have some troubles with that. Because, for example, I know a script runner, well, in cloud, it's not the same thing, and you can replace it with automation and stuff. And on the other side, we'll look how involved it is, how many installations they have, and success stories, and try to talk with another customers, because this is a really big ecosystem. But we met each other, and you have the possibility to talk in these different events or airs or a lot of things we do with different customer and share experience. For me, I believe that we did a lot of improvements in different tools because someone used it before and recommended it. I believe that is one important things to do in order to search or to look for a tool.
Okay, so I believe that your explanation also gives a chance to the applications that are that were more recently launched on the marketplace, right? Because the challenging part was with the installations, the counter was always bad. It didn't mirror the exact number of the correct installations on the marketplace that promoted the old legacy installations that were there for 10 years. They just had a lot of installations on the marketplace which didn't mirror the quality, right? So probably installing maybe like the old legacy application plus something that is a contender and make a comparison. How would you make this comparison? Yeah, because I believe some people are still thinking that maybe the installation counter is the more installations, the better the app, but it's not true, right? It's the speed of growth, I believe, and many other factors that actually should be taken into consideration when you choose the application. So if you would make a bullet list of things that if you now, let's say, you had integrated Jira with the application you had on your data center. Now you're making a switch to cloud, so you can reevaluate and maybe choose another application. What would be the top maybe 5 things that you would recommend to the customer? Check those 5 things when you're comparing the applications.
One of the things is if it's supported by Atlassian program. That one is one of the things regarding, of course, security and the level of certification that they have. Well, as I said, experience, yes, you're right regarding the amount of installation, because yes, you can have a lot and you can test it. And also with the comments, you have to be careful with the comments, because I remember that one time we have an app in the marketplace and all the company were doing great comments to increase the views and so on. Well, one of the things that I like the most is how the company, the partner, the vendor, following you and support you. I mean, we have experience with a lot of apps right now that, for example, are not updating data center apps, and well, we ask them for a solution, and for data center is not anymore present there. So I believe the support, the trust that you have in the vendor is one of the things that I look the most when I'm recommend to a user a new tool. Of course, always I share the marketplace where the tool is or the app is, and the website of the company. And if you have a contact with you, Jacek, or with another guy from another vendors, try to have a meeting, meet each other, and see that maybe you are integrating your tool, but you are using another tool and they are eager to help you. So if they have all this, I believe that maybe you can have an issue, a bug, and whatever, but you can solve it. In fact, sometimes when I do this apps review, I'm thinking I'm going to start to offer my quality assurance services, because you find bugs when you start to play around, and the feedback from the vendor is very, very important, because if you are playing around with something and you find a bug on the other side, doesn't matter. Well, maybe when you are in a rush in the middle of this production thing, it will be a miss. So that are really the common things that I look for.
Yeah, so it's you also mentioned the human element is the support, right? I also believe it's extremely important, because usually what I see is that the bigger the certain company gets, the less they start to care, and that's true for a lot of big players in the marketplace. That simply product is as is, right? They don't really care about the feedback. They don't really care to serve you the best way they can with all the support. And the contender is the one that cares the most, right? Because they need to prove, they need to try harder, right? And usually this human element is much stronger. They really care to help you out. So yeah, I totally agree with everything that you said. Having said that, you recently played with Getint, right? I believe you integrated Jira and Jira. How do you like it? What are your first feelings, first thoughts about the application and how it works?
Well, one of the first thing that I do, but this is personal, when I start to play around with an app, is that I install it and I try to use it without the documentation first. Try to broke my head to see how this works, and and it was really happy with Getting, because I installed it and I integrated directly. Then I read all the documentation, I follow it, and it was really great. But it's easy to install without code. And the thing that I love the most is that I only have to install in one site. And that is really important, not only regarding prices and so on. You have only one place to manage to set the integrations. The mapping too, because I realized that you can have different things and you not has to do it 100% with the scripting. So that's really cool. And well, and the reliability, because this starts like this. Of course, I didn't test it with a big amount of tickets because it was like a review. But I used to use another tools. In fact, currently I use Exadate, and yeah, I like the no code way, because I'm from IT. I was working in IT, but I'm not a developer. I love to fight with the scripting and so on. I like that. It's not that the topic, but I know that when it's 100% by scripting, or you have to fix things by scripting, maybe you need another profile, another person, or a deeper knowledge in scripting. So if you can set the thing drag and drop, or set the thing with checks and fields, is more comfortable. And the other thing is, my advice is use this kind of tools. You do not have to suffer with automations, with script runner. It's if you have a short environment, or maybe it could work. But at the end of the day, when you are working with big companies and so on, it's not you cannot decide that solutions.
That's what's our aim, to create a UI first solution that can also use scripting whenever needed, but it's much easier to set up, much easier to maintain. Time to market is way quicker, right? And you don't need technical resources.
And the thing was, and you have a great documentation. I read, of course, I prepared the interview, but another thing it was really cool is that I start to use it, and I start to get some emails from your side with guidance and with support. That's really cool. Most of all regarding this feature, I don't know how to say, because it's not the same if you're trying to, I know, do something with automation. Yes, you have the Atlassian support. Maybe you can have something to fix and so on, but you can find it in the community or in the information. But when you are doing integration, you need something at the back if you have anything to ask. And I get a lot of support from your side. And that's really cool because in this thing, it's good not to be alone when you are integrating, and it's a win-win from my point of view.
It's especially it's relatively less complicated when you're integrating Jira with another Jira, like similar platform, but the level of complexity grows when you integrate different platforms. Let's say Jira and ServiceNow, two totally different platforms. The namings are fully different. And then usually when a Jira admin sits and they try to understand what's happening on this other side, even so our approach was to make the tool as simple as possible, because it's already a complicated process, right? So let's simplify that and offer guidance whenever it's needed. And once you start to learn the tool, you start to fly, right? And it's just much easier for everyone. And scripting is exactly the thing that like throws you rocks when you try to walk, right? We can't even think about flying. It's even hard to do a basic walking, and time to market is usually months instead of days, right? And you always have stakeholders that would like to get the value fast, right? So
and I remember when you were doing this manually, all the gaps, all the gaps that you have in the outcomes. I remember I used to integrate another tools, not regarding Jira, more historical tools like project and portfolio management with TFS. And I remember that we have to do a middleware to both applications see each other and share information. And I remember it was a really, really long time project. And of course, when you forecast this kind of project, you can always trick to the Excel and show that, in, I don't know, 1 month, we are okay. And the Excel says that, but maybe the reality is another one. It's totally different. So my advice always is you are going to integrate. Today we have tools. In back years, we haven't. And we do a lot of cool things that I believe that all that software brings us these kind of tools that Setting, Exalate, and the other ones. And also some orchestrators like Zapier or
Make, yes, there's a lot of them.
I remember UiPath, but you know what happened to me with that kind of platform? I'm not 100% sure about it. I don't know why. And I believe that this is regarding what we talked before about the support, the people following you and assisting you and guide you. And with this kind of thing was like, I've never been sure if I'm going to really work.
That's for us, it's because, of course, at some point we can consider those like Zapier as a competitor, maybe not a direct one, but it's still operating in the integration sphere. What's different is that, of course, Zapier has like hundreds of applications. It's support, but it's mostly a one-way thing, and it's made of zaps, right? So even though you can integrate 100 applications, including your calendar, Gmail, fitness app, whatever, you can do it in a very basic level, right? And the integration when it comes to enterprise tools, work management tools, Jira DevOps, Jira ServiceNow, Salesforce, it's also about the depth, right? You would like to integrate a lot of things, not just simply title and the description. You need to have it in a reliable way. You need to have someone that would be able to pick up the phone whenever you call because it's down. It's a business critical stuff. If your fitness app won't sync with your calendar, I think you can live without it, right? But if your Jira doesn't sync with ServiceNow and you rely on it, it's a crisis, right?
Yeah, totally. And I was thinking that I'm used to be in different projects, but always Jira was the center, because you can have, for example, I know for HR, Workday or Personio or whatever, or for example, CRM for customer side. But at the end of the day, you need some place where you're gathering all this information, you have the only source of truth of the information regarding your process, your organization, your team, and Jira is that. So for that, it's so important to have these tools to integrate, because it will be the center and it will be integrated by another core system too, but the information relies in Jira. And for example, I remember I used to work as a consultant in a telecommunication company where Jira was the center. And we integrated with, like I said, CRM, asset management, not inside, I mean, the another asset management tools, custom tools too. And some of these integration were made by scripting. And when it's clear, the integration and shorter and little, and the scope is clear, maybe it could work. But when they start, no, but now I want to integrate this new field, and this has to be copied, and all this ends in, no, but I don't want to work with 2 tickets. And that's why we need these kind of tools, because the user doesn't want to work with 2 tickets, but you have to work with 2 tickets. But the thing is that when you have custom integration, these 2 tickets are a nightmare, because you update this, and sometimes you do not get the same information here. When you both are updating the same thing, you have a lot of, I don't know how to say it in English, but a lot of blockers, and sometimes you miss some comments in one side because someone was commenting the other. And as a consultant, I remember I used to hate that situation. And with this kind of tools, you have the integration properly, and your life is easier.
Oh yes, I had a talk with someone that first tried Script Runner Connect, and they showed me that the script to handle comments is like more or less 600 lines long. So whenever they were updating somewhere to customize it as they wanted, they needed to customize the script. Then another one to handle like the regular field syncing or status syncing was 500 lines long. So each particular action was a different script, which for your particular use case required certain customizations. And then when they were reporting a bug and there was a fix, the support team was amazing, but it was updating the script to its default version. So you had to update this to its default version to fix the bug and then apply the customizations again for one simple stuff. And as you mentioned, like those integrations are not written in stone. We always say to the customer, so try to think about a solution that is bulletproof for the future. Let's say what will happen, even a scenario that you tested it against the current scope, but then the scope will change and you need some custom field that possibly is not supported. What will the vendor do? Will they say to you, sorry, you had a trial, you could test it out, now it's not our problem? Or they will say, okay, maybe there's a technical possibility, maybe we can add it, let's work on this one together, right? We try to always have this the second approach. So when the customer is struggling and we believe their struggle will also, solving the struggle will benefit the community, how about we just do it, right? In a sense that everyone will benefit in the end, right? So it's not just about choosing the tool, it's choosing a partner, right?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, this is regarding people. I believe deeper in that, because all the ecosystem teach us about that. I believe I have a really great relation with a lot of Atlassian influencers that we used to do the same thing, and we are like a team of friends, and you have to reach the same thing with the Atlassian partners. It's a best way to work, because at the end of the day, it's like a deep relationship that is a win-win, because, well, I always said that Jira and Atlassian tools, from my point of view, are easier to work and to set and But the hard thing is to doing well, and for that you need the right people and people with knowledge. This seems to be, well, it's very obvious, but no, because I have currently a lot of freelance work fixing things that that or environments that started with the technical guy. He can do it because he's a technical. He can fix the computer and he can set Atlassian tool. At the beginning, when you start shorter with a few tickets and with a few teams working there, maybe it will be good. But in a time, it will be a miss and always happen the same. And we arrive to the customer and say, what happened? Let me see. Okay, we have to broke everything and do it again. And there is where we start to suffer. So I always recommend, if you do not have the knowledge, choose a partner because they have the knowledge, they have a lot of experience, a lot of things that they face in this integration, in the different projects, companies, level of levels of companies, because it's not the same thing working to the public company than a private company or multinational company. So at the end of the day, it's a matter of people, helping people, and always recommend to. In fact, we always have to make questions or ask for suggestion to a partner if we have any doubt.
You used the metaphor about related to cars when we started the interview. Now I had this thought that it's similar to scripting. So when you have a broken car, you can use the glue for almost everything, right? You can glue that, and like maybe for yourself in a workshop when you drive yourself, it makes sense. But when you try to race and you try to be a part of a much bigger team, which needs like stability, reliability, and quality, sometimes it's just better to upgrade to a better car, right? That doesn't need glue and simply operates in a reliable way.
Yeah, I'm going to describe the situation. Last year, I was working for a company. It was a big company, but I'm start to doubt when a company moves from, for example, Jira Premium to Jira Standard, and they say, no, this is our core tool. Okay, what happened? And when I start to make my assessment in that company, I realized that they were trying to save money, which is cool. I agree with that, of course. But you have to be aware that your tools are going to work at the same amount of budget that you invest in that. In fact, it was a quotation in a mechanic car shop. I remember that in Argentina was that, and I used for this because, and what happened? They used to have this integration with automation and with several automation. First thing that they asked to fix was we reached the amount of automation. And I say, of course, you have a standard right now, have 1,000. And no, but and one day they lost the integration. No, they lost. They stopped the integration because they doesn't have enough automations. And I said, well, but if this is your core tool, we have to do two things: go back to premium, or put or buy an app. I remember I offered Exalate because I used to work with Exalate and Getint. And I made the whole offer and the documentation to show that, well, you can do it in this way, you can do it in that way. At the end of the day, it was really, really expensive for them. They decided to fix what they have. I didn't remember how they did because I said, okay, I'm not going to fix anything of this customization because I'm not going to finish never. because you are always fixing this and you're investing time. And the last thing but this is a personal thing that I don't like about this situation, is that at the end of the day, it's my fault. No, this ticket has this comment and this one doesn't have, and at the end of the day, is the consultant.
Even though you're using a tool, right? So that glue fixing for me, it's like using a script for that, script for that, script for that. It works as long as the person writing the scripts is on board, right? Let's see what happens when they left, or they will be reassigned to another project and somebody needs to take over. Consultant comes by, they see a wall of scripting they have no idea about, right?
And I say, no, I know I'm not going to do it in that way. Sorry, it's okay. I lost this not customer or opportunity to work with them, but we are not agree. At the end of the day, it wouldn't be a win-win.
So that's about like the overall scripting solutions, right? Of course, there is always a different stuff, because many scripting solutions, they also have the UI, but it's usually covering the basic stuff. Now, our approach is to have a very powerful UI and a very powerful scripting engine, but it's always a UI first, right? So the scripting is there to maybe apply some short solutions or the customizations that would work for a single customer, right? It doesn't make sense to make a feature that would benefit a single customer and make it available for thousands of people, right? The feature should be beneficial for most of the users, right? And it can be a feature, and then it makes sense to make it a feature because it's going to be reliable, stable, easy to use, right? So then the UI is just a better option.
Reliable for me is the most important thing, because as we said, if you need to see something. And one more thing that I don't like at all, and we did it a lot of time, this thing that try to avoid a Jira Service Management license with this integration in between Jira Service Management and Jira all the time, and have the agents. If you are focused in your customer experience, you cannot do that, because at the end of the day, you're going to miss a comment, an update, whatever, if you don't use the proper tools, like we said. So my advice with that kind of thing is, you have Jira Service Management for agent, you have Jira Software, try to do some functional thing to make this work. If okay, you do not have enough money for the license, okay, or whatever, use Getint or use Xalate or Backbone or another tool, but not customize this kind of integration, because at the end of the day, you are going to have a headache.
Yeah, and we always say
we
always say to the customer, try 2 or 3 solutions, right? Because they are also different for a reason, and it's also like again, using the car stuff. There is a lot of cars that you might like. You may go with Benz, you may go with BMW, you might go with Audi or whatever. They are many times equally good, but it's the thing that you just sit down, you drive it, and you like it, right? So this is similar to the tools that you have. All of them operate, all of them are profitable, so play with all of them. Maybe one of them is best simply for you and for your particular use case. There is not just like a silver bullet that is always good for everything, right? So that's why we have this variety, and it's always the customer choosing in the end. But I believe it's a mistake to just go with a single solution and that's it, right? Try it, right? Especially when you see a leader and a contender, try the other one, right? It might be better. Or if you're like stick to something for many years and it wasn't the best tool or the tool that you like the most, maybe there's something else, right? The market grows, the competitor comes, the new solutions arises, the technology changes. Give it a try. You won't lose like many days just testing it. You might save a lot of money. You might get a better solution, the one that you will like the most. Same with the car. Sometimes it's worth to upgrade. Right. So that's regarding the integration tools. And you also mentioned about this Jira being a center. I also observe this a lot, like that many times Jira is used by the management teams. And even though the service team might use ServiceNow, the sales team might use Salesforce, the marketing team might use, let's say, Monday or Asana, right? They consolidate the information in Jira to make reporting on top of Jira, right? So Jira is like collecting information, and then the management has those fancy dashboards. They can read a lot of stuff because Jira has in my opinion, the best ecosystem, right? It's not just the Jira, it's the Confluence, and it's thousands of applications, most of them reliable, because compared to some other marketplaces where you have a lot of free applications, I would say that for the enterprise, getting a free app is not the best choice, right? Because it's not just the app, it's the team. You can't get a team and the support if it's free, right? So the way the Atlassian built this ecosystem of partners, vendors, and themselves growing rapidly is probably the best ecosystem from the work management tools, built in the best way, in a sense that it's just reliable, as we agreed is the key word in this case, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. I'm happy to be involved in all this. I collaborate with a lot of workmates or colleagues, and regarding the the other day, I was trying to do an app review, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to show how you can install this. And I said, no, I'm going to do a 1 minute video on how installing cloud with one click. And that's it, because it's one click to install. You can install it, you can play around, and then you can uninstall if you need, or ask for support. The good thing is that you can test your app, see the documentation, see all the magic, because a lot of partners invest in videos, in reviews and stuff. In fact, I'm doing a lot of, I'm trying to do a lot of, because of the time, apps review in Spanish, because well, it's my main language, and there are a lot of people that can beneficiate by doing in Spanish. And yeah, at the end of the day, is reliability. We have a great ecosystem because the competitors in this ecosystem are also have a great relationship too. So it's like I said at the beginning, there is a room for everyone. The pizza has 8 parts. Well, it comes another one. We make the pizza bigger and we get more parts for
and
each other. So
every cola needs a Pepsi, right? In a sense that the competition always benefits in the end, mostly the customers, right? Because if you have a single player in the ecosystem, they don't have to try it. It's this or nothing. And if you have a competitors trying to be better and better, that benefits the customer. Yeah, I'm excited to see what also how Rovo will change the game. How many vendors will struggle with what Rovo is currently offering, or the AI engines are going to offer. I wonder what's your take on this, right? Because now with this AI being everywhere, a lot of people would be able to just write an agent and handle stuff, right? Instead of getting it up. But is it a threat or not?
I don't know. The thing that I afraid the most is because of the people saying that they are afraid. I believe it's a tool. We face a lot of things like this when we start with all the internet things. The people were scared about. When the TV starts, the people were scared, and well, they were right. It's a scary place, but I believe that every change, every transformation has some fear shown, and it's true. But I believe that it's really challenging. I like the way the things evolves, and I believe that this it's like I said, the tool. You always going to need the human interface in some way. I use a lot the IA for my content, for scripting, for anything. I use a lot, and I'm really happy with that. I use Copilot, I use ChatGPT. I test another one. I don't remember right now. The
Claude?
Yeah, I believe, yeah, but little short because I had a podcast with a colleague that showed some kind of things, and I went through this, and I believe it's really a great tool. In fact, I compare like this. I remember I was really great looking for information when I was outside of this ecosystem in the project and portfolio management. We used to have a forum, and I look information in there, and I love it, but it was really a short ecosystem or community. Then I moved here to Jira and start to work and do things in this ecosystem. And well, you have a lot of information, a lot. In fact, you have sometimes information that say one thing and information that say another thing in the community, I mean, no? And then we start to share more information, and now we have this tool that makes your search faster and precise. And I believe it's great for us. No, I'm not afraid. I'm eager to see what's going on with all this. I play around a little bit with Robo, not a lot right now because currently I'm working in data center. I'm old school. I'm 45, and I love data center. I can do anything in data center. But the future is cloud. I'm not an stopper of that. Of course, in my freelance stuff, most of the customers are from cloud, and it's really great because you can have an IA, you can have anything you want. But when Atlassian change your UI, you need someone with knowledge to say, well, now you can do this like this, or you have this option in there. And sometimes you need the human interface, like I said.
And I hope you will always need a human, right? So
Yeah.
all the tools that also put a lot of attention to give you this human touch will survive, right? All the free ones that never meant it, you can probably replace them with something else. Okay, thank you, Ariel, for your time. Thank you for sharing your experience. It was great talking to you.
No, thank you, Jacek. It was really great to meet you in Anaheim. Your team too. We have a really good time. And well, it's great. I'm always open to collaborate. And well, let's see. Maybe we can have another one in person.
Hopefully, yes. Yes, I hope. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you again.